Hey, how you doing, supercoders? Welcome back to our new lecture. And in this lecture, we will be covering this pattern 11. Basically, you need to print this particular pattern. Let's see what's the input. If the input is 5, then we need to print this pattern. Let's directly head over towards the open board. So, this is what we need to print when the given input is 5. For n is equal to 5, you need to print this pattern. Let's discuss it a little bit. After that, you can try it by yourself. Okay. In the first row, there is one value that is printed. In the second row, two values are printed. In the third row, three values are printed. In the fourth row, four values are printed. And the fifth row, five values are printed. And also see carefully that after each value is getting printed, the next value is actually the one added to the previous value. So if we are printing this is nothing but one added to this value. If we are printing this means nothing but one added to this value. I hope that you would have understood the complete question quite well. Now you can try this question by yourself, and what I am doing is I am discussing certain hints and approaches. Wherever you feel that now you can do the question yourself, then from there on pause the video and try it. And if you are still unable to do at that particular point of time, come back to the video and see the remaining video. Okay, before printing this pattern, I will be printing this pattern, which you have already printed in the pattern 1 video. After this, we will be modifying our program to print this pattern. Then we will modify our program further to print this pattern. So basically, I have got full confidence on yourself, on you, that you are quite capable of printing this pattern. I've got full confidence, full faith on my super coders that they are this much capable. But still, for my own satisfaction, I will be giving you a little bit of the explanation of how to print this pattern. Okay. If for n is equal to 5, there are 5 rows. Can I say that the outer loop is running 5 times? So for 1 to n plus 1. Okay. And in each row, the count of the stars, you can see in the first row there is 1, in the second row 2, in the third row 3, in the fourth row 4, fifth row 5th. So it means that in each row the count of the stars that are getting printed is dependent on the row number. That's why in the row 2, 2 stars are printed. So can I say that I just have to give the value of the row number to my magic star loop, and that magic star loop will take care of printing the stars in each line. If you have not watched my magic pattern concepts video, I highly suggest you to go to that video first. After that, come over to this lecture, because I have discussed a lot of important concepts which will definitely help you to print complex patterns. So now in the inner for loop, for the magic star loop, it will be something like this: 1 till I plus 1, because each time we are giving the value I to our magic star loop, and this will print the star pattern. Let's quickly code this. For I in range from 1 till n plus 1, we simply need to go inside this loop and use our magic star loop. For j in range 1 till I plus 1, simply print the star followed by a tab, and then once we are done with the inner loop, we need to move the cursor to the next line. So, and then the basic syntax that we have to put these columns. Okay, let's run it and I'll show you that we are getting our first desired output. So these stars, you can see we have got these stars. Now let's get ahead with printing and modifying the code for this program and printing this. Over here, what I can simply do is, instead of star, I can print this one. Or what I can do instead is, I can take a variable val and in that variable store 1. And each time, instead of star, I will be printing the variable val. Okay, let's update it. outside I will be taking a variable val is equal to 1, and each time instead of the star I will be printing the variable val. And let's run it again, and you can see over here that this is also getting printed. We have got so far till this particular pattern. Now we just need to observe one thing, that after this element got printed, the value of val variable, each time we were printing what, just the val variable. So can I say that the value of val variable here is getting incremented by 1? Over here as well, the value of val variable is incremented value. So over here, let's say that the value of val variable over here is 6. What I can simply do is, after printing 6, after I print the value of val variable when it was 6, I can increment this value of val variable with 1, increment by 1. Then the new value of val variable will be 7. And when I go over here and I print this val variable, then 7 will be printed. Done. Let's code it a little bit and then we will see the dry run of it. So what I simply need to do is, I need to update this val variable each time we are printing any value. So simply update this val variable and we need to increment it by 1, and our code will be submitted. It's still giving the wrong answer. Okay, it apparently should not have given the wrong answer. Okay, so basically we are getting what our desired output is, but it just needs a little bit of formatting. So instead of this I can write this, and now it will run perfectly. And after this we will do a quick dry run. Let's submit it and then we'll do a dry run of it. And let's do a quick dry run of the complete program. And before doing the dry run, I want your complete attention towards the dry run, because this is for the very first time that we are doing the dry run. And since I want you to understand how the dry run is done and how a particular type of code is executed, so make sure that you don't go away even when the video becomes a little bit longer. Okay, I'm going to be making a particular stack. This is the stack. Okay, this is the first line, this is the second line, this is the outer for loop, this is the inner for loop, and this is the statement for the outer for loop. So I am going to make sure that you do not get confused. This is the inner for loop. Okay, I hope that you are getting this point. And then this is the outer for loop. Okay, and before moving on further, I already know that you know how to apply for loops, but still for my own satisfaction I will be telling you this little bit, that I starts from 1 and till the time I is less than equal to n, this outer for loop will run. And for this, j will start from 1 and till the time j is less than equal to I, this inner for loop will run. Okay, now let's quickly start out with our honest dry run. Okay, when the first line is executed, then the value of n is put inside the stack. So let's say that the initial value of n is 5. So 5 is, or yeah, 5, let's say 5 is put inside the stack. Then the second line is executed and val variable is put inside the stack. The value of val is 1. Then the outer for loop is run and the value of I is put inside the stack, that is equal to 1. Then the inner for loop runs and the value of j is initialized with 1 and is put inside the stack. Okay, now when we are inside this inner for loop, the value val is printed. So what is the value of val right now? 1 gets printed. Okay, after this the second statement is executed and the value of val variable is incremented by 1, so it becomes 2 now. Then we will check the condition. This is the condition basically. Before each iteration we need to check the condition, and before each iteration the value of I is incremented by 1. And over here as well, before each iteration the value of j is incremented by 1. Okay, This is simply, and also you need to make this thing very clear that the value of j is incremented first and after that the condition is checked. Over here as well, the same case will apply. Okay, so before the second iteration, the value of j is incremented by 1 and then this condition is checked. What is this condition right now? Right now, the value of this is what we need to check. 2 is less than equal to 1. This is false. So we will come out of this for loop, inner for loop. And when we come out of this inner for loop, this part j is removed from the stack. Okay. Then this line will run. When this line runs, the cursor moves on to the next line because of the slash n. So the cursor comes over here. I hope that till over here you are completely understanding the code. Then again, when before going to the next iteration, the value of I is incremented by 1. So the value of I becomes 2. And then this condition is checked. What is the initial condition? That 2 should be less than equal to 5 because the value of n is 5. So this condition turns out to be true. So we again go inside this for loop. Then we go inside this inner for loop. And again j moves into the stack. And the value, initial value of j is 1. Okay. And 1 is less than equal to the current value of I, that's 2. This is correct. So we will go inside this inner for loop and VAL variable will be printed. What's the value of VAL variable right now? That's 2. 2 gets printed. Then the second line is executed and then the value of VAL variable is incremented by 1. So it becomes 3 now. Then again, the value of j is incremented before going on for the next iteration. Then the condition is checked. 2 is less than equal to 2. Yes, it is correct. So we will again run the next iteration, which is printing the value of VL variable. That's 3. 3 gets printed. Then value of VL is incremented by 1. That's 4. 4 it becomes. Then again the value of j is incremented before going to the next iteration. J is incremented by 1. It becomes 3. Again we will check this condition. So it is 3 is less than equal to 2. This condition turns out to be false. So we will come out of this inner for loop and j is again removed from the stack for the second time. J gets removed from the stack. Again, after this line is executed. When this line is executed, the cursor moves on to the next line. Then again, the value of I is incremented by 1 before going on for the second iteration. The next iteration, I must say. So value of I is incremented by 1 and it becomes 3. Okay. Now again, this particular block will be executed and again j moves inside the stack and is initialized with 1. Okay. Now let me erase it so that it becomes a little bit of a cleaner. Okay. Now is 1 less than equal to the value of I? That's 3. Yes, it is. So we will go inside this inner for loop and VAL will be printed. What's the current value of VAL variable in the stack? That's 4. 4 gets printed and VAL variable is incremented by 1. So it becomes 5. Okay. Although I'm going outside the stack, but you know, good things lie outside our comfort zone. Okay, now that's a lot of quotations. So basically, let's get back to the topic. Now, this VL variable is carrying the value 5. Again, before the next iteration, the value of j is incremented by 1. It becomes 2. We will check the condition whether this condition 2 is less than equal to 3. Yes, it is. So again, we will go inside this for loop and VAL variable is printed. Kindly stay on with me. I request you this one thing because an honest dry run of our code is really very important so that you can understand what's going inside the code. Now, the current value of VAL is printed. So 5 gets printed. Now, this line is executed. When this line is executed, then the VAL variable gets incremented by 1 and it becomes 6. Then again, before the next iteration, the value of j is incremented by 1. It becomes 3. We check whether 3 is less than equal to 3 or not. It is. The condition is correct. So again, we will go inside this for loop and VAL. When this line is executed, VAL gets printed. It becomes 6. Then the second line is executed and VAL becomes 7. Then again, inside this for loop, before going on for the next iteration, the j variable is increased. It becomes 4. We will again check this condition. 4 is less than equal to 3. It is not. We will come out of this for loop and then this J is removed from the stack again. J will be saying to us, what do? You call me and remove me time and again. Yes, J, you are like that. Okay, then this line is executed. Then, because of slash n, the cursor moves on to the next line. And like this, our complete program will execute. I hope that you must have understood it completely. And since we are doing our honest dry run for the very first time, so a coder's job needs to be done. Let's do the coder's job. Bye.